Hey guys, Rachel here from globalgrind.com, and today we have a very special guest all the way from Milan, fresh off the plane. It's Corey of Vintage Frames. Tell them where you're coming from, like right now. Like, let them know the whole crazy backstory.
I'm from the future.
You fuck.
Yeah, it's real. No, I came from Milan, just came from the optical show, through a concert, and then right onto the plane and came to see you. The Rachel.
The Rachel.
Of Global Grind.
There are like 3 other Rachels here.
But you're the Rachel. The rest of them are just Rachels.
I like that. I'm gonna tell them that too. So I want you to tell us a little bit of your backstory of Vintage Frames and what got you into vintage sourcing, period.
Well, when I was younger, I would have these obsessions with certain things that were released in other parts of the country, and I was privy to my grandparents traveling around the world, so they would always bring me back these fashions that they found in, you know, Hong Kong or somewhere in Europe, and nobody kind of had that in Montreal, and it was just a way to express my individuality. And so many different parts of fashion played a role in my upbringing that, you know, as I grew and molded my own, I guess, future or business career, they were so heavily involved in my past that I wanted them to be involved in my future. So I legitimately gravitated to, you know, vintage products, as well as very few people are designers these days. There's really good copiers. There's decent historians, you know, and regurgitators. So it was kind of the, you know, from a fashion history perspective and from a fashion history major, that was kind of the way to kind of roll.
When did you decide to turn your passion into your own company and be like the head man in charge?
I don't think I really ever had an option. I'm definitely, you know, can safely say years later that I have a bit of an authority problem. So I don't think that, you know, working for someone else would have been the way to go. Also, what's kind of different about me than other people, I'm very willing to try something and fail and take responsibility and move on. And a lot of people try something, they fail, and they're really stuck in the fact that they didn't succeed, and it's not really my gig. So I think that that's kind of like the key entrepreneurial point, and if you have that ability beyond anything, that's kind of should be your destiny.
Right. So you're kind of one of the only people doing what you're doing as far as vintage accessories and like supplying, typically, like mostly the hip hop rappers for the most. Is it? You could correct me.
I think it's probably what I'm most known for, is supplying it to pop culture. But there are some other people who sell glasses and jewelry. But I've definitely been the first person to be able to portray a lifestyle with it, which is a legit, real lifestyle. Not me waking up and, you know, trying to emulate a music video or something. This is like, you know, we really do this life. This is our everyday, you know. And I created a company around my insanities. You know, everything that I wanted when I was a kid that I couldn't have, or the teachers told me I wouldn't do, or anything like that, is what I'm doing. Every time there's an article written in the paper about me, I have every single one of the fucking dickhead teachers that didn't believe in me and conducted classes, I mailed them fucking articles. Our office is built like a 1980s, early 90s video game arcade. The walls are made of boom boxes. I work from a throne. We have cranes like to pull out equipment and stuff. It's the most cliche, uncliche lifestyle you can ever, you know, imagine. I drive a 1979 vintage Gucci Cadillac. I have 2 bulldogs that roam the office. We have fucking, I mean, just the craziest shit.
So let's talk about some of the actual products. Like, where do you source them from? How do you find them? How do you know when people have dope shit?
I have a very specialized way to source the world. Knowing when people have dope shit is just believing in the product and being able to relate it to the market. There's a whole aspect of fashion that people, you know, you could tell someone, hey, you remember this glass from this TV show? And most people will be like, yeah, of course. Fuck, I love that show. That TV show might have not even existed.
Right.
You know, like, it's the craziest shit in the world. So not that we do that, but we provide a real fashion history to the glasses, and we provide an in-depth backstory and knowledge. So, you know, especially in the case of an artist, if they're wearing a glass of mine and Vogue calls them on it, and what are you wearing? They're about to drill Anna Wintour with every single fact on that product. It's not a stylist placed item, it's something that they live and breathe and feel associated with. Adding that philosophy to glasses or to anything is very interesting, because you're really creating the value of the product, as well as the philosophy of the company is that we do not fit frames to your face, we fit frames to your personality. So if you walk through my door, or we walk through your door, or whatever it may be, within the first 2 minutes, I know exactly what you're gonna get. Just by your body language and what you're trying to portray. And the interesting thing about glasses is you can be something that you're not, or that you know, and that you aspire to be by a simple glass. And when you feel uncomfortable from that attitude, you can just, you know, take it off and you're a different person. And that's a big thing, because, you know, you can't wear a crazy t-shirt when you're trying to, you know, be this type of dude, and then all of a sudden feel uncomfortable in the middle of a conversation. Take off your t-shirts, like they might not invite you back, you know?
And if you're tapping this market and you have other people that are tapping the market, how do you stay ahead of your competition?
Just gotta tap them.
You tap your competition?
No, you know, we're a lot more mature and a lot more aggressive about it. A lot of companies are not necessarily copying us, but we're, you know, inspired by us. We have a gigantic budget, we have a professional staff, a minimum of 250,000 different frames. It's, you know, it's like a different ballgame.
They're not even on your level, is what you're saying.
You know, I couldn't even give them the elevator to get to my level.
You're one of the very few non-barbers to own an actual barbershop.
That's right.
So let's talk about that. And then you gotta tell us about the combs.
The combs. We reinvented the comb.
You did.
So in Montreal, where I'm from, I have a partner in the barbershop. He's one half of a group called Chromeo. He looks quite a bit like myself. And because we're well traveled around the world, we always, you know, have met at barbershops or places around the world and taken time for ourselves. And, you know, we'd always come back to Montreal and find each other, you know, kind of dumbfounded and not know where to go to get our beard shaved, because we're both bald. So instead of complaining, like most people did, we took our money, put it where our mouth was, and built the most ostentatious, luxurious men's club there is. And basically what we did was we decided to sit down and say, what if we were allowed 1 hour a week to ourselves, either by, you know, work or significant others or whatever it may be, what would we want to do?
Right.
So we came up with this incredibly, you know, over-the-top idea. I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to have my head massaged by a beautiful girl. I wanted to be shaved with gold-infused shaving cream and gold razor blades. I wanted to drink the finest champagne, scotch, you know, and I wanted to be able to conduct a conversation with people who were not of one culture or one income bracket.
Right.
You know, and we birthed Notorious. Notorious is a 4 barber shop, which is made completely out of Versace, the whole thing, including the floors and everything. We basically bought a crack house, kicked out the crackheads, and in the middle of the hood made this incredibly over-the-top barbershop. Didn't feel that any barbers were worthy in Montreal, imported barbers from all around the world who were barbers.
Right.
So despite whoever a barber cut, these are the barbers that go and cut them. And then we decided that we wanted to step one step above even, you know, the craziest things and develop our own combs and our own afro picks. So we have these Notorious combs, which are trademarked to the shop, and now we've done our afro picks, and, like, you know, I wear a solid gold one around my neck. So,
just in case grooming on the go.
You know. So this is one of the more famous Versace's that Big wore, the Mode T75. Got a lot of hip hop history to it. One of the most collected frames in the world, the Alpina M1. Bam! One of my favorite frames, Emmanuel Khan. a big hip-hop history to it, but very few people knew the name because there's so many bootlegs that they made. This was one of the frames that was worn in Casino. It's from a French factory where they would basically wake up in the morning and have the acetate already set out and then make whatever accoutrements to the frame that they wanted. So this frame has thousands of variables to it and variants. So it makes it a very interesting brand to collect, just because when you think that you know something, you really know nothing, because you'll find 100 more versions of it. Gazelle 163, Michael Jackson made famous. Run DMC wore. Spike Lee made this frame famous. Michael Jordan, Mars Blackman, Gazelle 616. And this is one of our custom frames that we've done, so it's from our Code Red collection. Porsche Carrera, this is also from one of our custom editions. It's all rose gold dipped. Probably one of the most popular frames worn. Beverly Hills Cop, Axl Rose. So we stock 250,000 frames. So we go from like the most well-known to a Bjorn Borg, a very famous tennis player, which you might know Bjorn Borg, but you might not. With the history lesson and just the shape on its own, it obviously holds its weight. Everything's still with the tags on it. Jean-Paul Gaultier, Rocky wears this shit, Mac Miller, Schoolboy, and everyone. It was very popular in like the old Vanilla Ice movies and stuff, if you remember that.
So people who are interested in like starting up their own vintage collections, like long run, thinking about investment pieces and luxury items, what, in your opinion and in your experience, what are some of the brands that are worth investing in and hold value over time?
I mean, brands with precious metals, and brands that actually do not exist anymore.
Right.
So a brand like Gazelle, where they're re-releasing models all the time, certain models will hold value and go up because it's their first edition, but certain ones will go down because it becomes mass consumption when they've redone them. Right. A brand like Jean-Paul Gaultier is very collectible. A brand like Ultra. Any brands that have not been obtained by mass market companies like Shapiro or Luxottica are pretty safe bets.
So you recently had a collaboration with a friend of ours.
A friend of ours, not a friend of mine.
I mean, a friend of me and the camera.
So he's a camera-friendly guy.
Yeah.
Greg.
How did you guys connect?
I think Greg and I met through Nikki Diamond.
Okay.
And I have a lot of friends who are jewelers, and Greg is a newer jeweler, I would say, but he's overly ambitious, and he's like a real funny dude, and really passionate about what he does and the way he does it. And he's a shit disturber like I am, so he's really fucking with all the jewelers and making them kind of conform to what he's doing. And he's taken the jewelry thing to a street level, which I don't think a lot of the jewelers have necessarily wanted to put in the work. I go around New York and see these Mr. fucking things, like how many high-end jewelers do you know that do street campaigns with wheat paste? And now you guys teamed up on a collaboration? We did. So we have a series of hats, the #1, which I guess I'm wearing right now, and we're using it as a platform for different collaborations. So different artists get to do it in their own fonts, and then the back of the hat, mine says "fuck second place," so it's got a really arrogant kind of approach to it. And the one that Greg chose says "fuck perfection, we're flawless." And I like to collaborate with people that are trying and doing things, and either on the come up or above me, or just who have good esteem to them and who are sweet. Right. Very sweet.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
Here on the couch.
If anyone asked, I was really never here.
You were never here.
You never saw me.
You zapped in from the future and zapped right out.
Very futuristic.
Tell the good people at home, where to find you.
You will never know where to find me. But if you want to find my products, you can go to vintageframescompany.com or check one of the stock lists from our website and find our stuff there. My name is Corey from Vintage Frames Company, at Vintage Frames on Twitter and Instagram, and we are with Global Grind.